Howdy y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today's feature is going to be Yeouth Glycolic Acid 30% Gel Peel with retinol and green tea. So stick around. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like to get more content notifications, and let's get this party started. So I was given Yeouth Glycolic Acid Peel several months ago by, I guess, what would you call them? Like a contributor, not dispenser, seller to try because I have areas of hyperpigmentation. Some of my hyperpigmentation, like particularly here, comes from when I was younger. I have hirsutism, and so if you don't know what that is, let me clue you in. Hirsutism is basically where you grow facial hair like a beard when you're not supposed to. So yeah, for me, it's typically associated with my PCOS. So around about the time that I started my cycle and things like that, I started getting hair here on the chin area where I'm not supposed to get it. And so I would pick it with my fingers, which you're not supposed to do. I would also pluck it, and sometimes the hairs were too short and I would keep plucking, and I had sores. And then of course the sores would then scab over. I picked scabs, basically a long story of scabs, and then eventually to leave a dark mark. So I have areas of hyperpigmentation. So one of the things that I had decided to do when I started my first job was I was going to get laser hair removal to get rid of my chin hairs, so that way I never had to worry about this problem ever again. So flash forward, I went on ahead and I finally, worked for a company, and they had a dermatologist, and I was like, yeah, let's see if we can do something. So he did some treatments, and the first treatment went well. There were no really problems. And I went back for my second treatment, but unbeknownst to me and unbeknownst to him, but definitely unbeknownst to me, I happened to be pregnant at the time. So I really believe that when he did my second treatment, my skin was at a different state because of my hormone levels, and I actually burned. And I have pictures so you can see that I actually burned. And so that left this area of hyperpigmentation here that I never ever really had before. So I kind of swore off dermatologist. Not that I blamed him or anything like that, but I just got very scared about going to a dermatologist to try to do anything else or do any kind of laser hair removal because I didn't want to get burned again, literally. So I've been looking online and trying different things. I've tried the turmeric mask. It didn't really work for me. And I've tried other things like skin lightening. Not that I'm trying to lighten my skin. I just want to fade my spots. This is not, Karia trying to get lighter skin and all of that. I just want to fade my areas of hyperpigmentation. I've tried several options, but none of them have really helped. So after I had tried the hyaluronic acid by Yeouth, they sent me this one. So I will say when I first started it, I didn't notice any improvement, but then I noticed that I read up on it and realized reading is fundamental in the instructions, and I was doing it wrong. So I'm going to show you today basically how I use and apply this, and we'll get it started. First thing I would definitely recommend before doing any type of peel, home peel, or anything like that to your skin is definitely you want to do a gentle cleanse, nothing too abrasive. So I like to use just my normal daily cleanser and get a little bit of water, and I'm gonna go start cleaning. Dermatologists recommend that you wash your face approximately the same amount of time that you wash your hands, about 20 to 30 seconds. I tend to do a little bit longer on the days that I am going to be doing a facial because it just gives me more of a zen, cleansing kind of feel. But I do make sure that I have enough slippage so that way the product is not abrasive to my skin. You want to make sure that you keep your towel handy because you're going to need it. One of the other things that I like to do after I have cleansed my face is I like to go over it with a little bit of facial toner. I tend to use witch hazel. It tends to be gentler for me on my skin than other toners. So just whenever I'm doing a facial or if I'm doing a peel like I am today, I will use a little bit of witch hazel. And then I like to cool it off, cool it off, cool off, cool off. Feel like a Beyonce. Don't forget the décolletage area. And throw that away and fan. So, some things that I recommend getting, you don't necessarily have to, but this is just something that I do, is I purchased this little pot from Amazon. I have picked a brush from Amazon to help me apply the peel. And then I also like to have a little bit of Aquaphor or Vaseline handy. So, first thing I do is take the Glycolic Acid Peel. It doesn't really have an odor. I've, smelled it before because I've been using this for a while. It doesn't have an odor, and I squirt a little into my bowl. Oh, I forgot the other important piece. Gloves. One moment. So I also wear gloves when I'm applying it just because I don't want any on my hands, and if for some reason I need to quickly take things off to get Jeremy or what have you, I don't want it to get on him. So I wear gloves. Here we go. So now that I've squirted the solution, I'm not sure if you can see. Whoop. Of course I would spill it. That's why I'm imperfect. That just happens. So squirt just a little bit more, but as you can see, I'm squirting here and it just goes into the bowl. So now you can see kind of what it looks like. And again, doesn't have an odor or a smell. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of the Aquaphor, and I like to put it on the sensitive places. Sensitive places are my eyes, corner, and I like to go a little underneath just to make sure. And I like to do my eyebrows to try to make sure that none of the acid peel solution goes towards my eyes. So I try to protect my eyes. So again, I just put some here and it'll all come out in the wash. A little bit here on the corners and then under the eyes. The other place that I like to put a little is I always put some on my lips just because my lips can be hecka dry. Especially I haven't been hydrating like I should. And then I'll put some here and put some here. So sometimes when I've done this, I tend to focus on the areas that are darker, but I'm really going to apply it all over my face today just to kind of show you how it goes on. Alrighty, so now that I have everything in hand, and again, it's a peel, it's acid, just be careful. My brush. So I take my brush and I dip it in like so. And then I start at the top of my head and work my way down. Because I have areas up here, and this is where I've seen the most difference is in the top of my forehead. And then I move down. Get a little bit more. Go onto this side. And so what I notice is I notice like a slight stinging. But it doesn't hurt, it stings. Kind of like like a little ant or something like that is the best that I can describe it as. And so then I make sure that I get this area where I have a lot of the hyperpigmentation covered. And then I also dip the brush back in and get my neck area. That's because I also have areas of hyperpigmentation there. I still have issues with hirsutism, so that is something I still battle. But I tend to get my chin threaded these days. Well, before COVID, I get my chin threaded, but now I do at-home waxing because tweezing is just not gonna work for me in my hyperpigmentation. The waxing tends to do better. Okay. So then I actually leave this on for a few minutes, and that's why I love my timer on my watch, because that helps me keep track. So initially when I started out doing this, I only would leave it on my skin for about a minute. And of course it wasn't working because I would leave it on for a minute. And by the time I basically had gotten my face covered, then I was wiping it off because I was very, very worried. But I have found this to actually be more gentle than some of the other at-home glycolic acid peels or peels that I've tried. Some, depending on the amount, like the 30% or the 50% or the 70%, tend to be you know, different as far as how it works. So I use the Yeouth 30% now, and I use it pretty much on a regular basis. And I've noticed evening of my skin, and I've also noticed that some of the areas of hyperpigmentation here and even here are not as dark as they used to be. So it is working, but it is a slow process, and I'm okay with slow. I'm okay with slow as long as my skin is not getting burned. So we're now at 2 minutes. Again, I feel a little bit of tingle, so I just fan, but it's not hurting and it's not burning me. It's just a little tingle, so I use that to kind of help. And I'll be back in 1 minute and 44 seconds. So I'm coming back, it's getting close to time. So I like using a chemical peel neutralizer. Yeouth does not make one, but you can find some online, or you can make your own with sodium, with water and a little bit of bicarb, and mix that together, and then just use that and put it in a spray bottle to spray your face. But me, I'm lazy, so I bought a chemical peel neutralizer, and so I use that to spray on my face, and I will be doing that in a few moments. And so then I spray it everywhere, and then I wash it off with water. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Neutralize! So I keep my eyes closed during this time. And this is where your towel comes in handy. Okay, so on my third wipe, that's usually when I feel comfortable enough to open my eyes. And that is done. And I like to rinse with cool water. Let me turn the water off. Sorry about that. I like to rinse with cool water just because it feels cooling after the stinging that I sometimes experience. And then after I do that, I tend to make sure that I clean off my brush and my pot with the neutralizer solution as well. I spray some of that in there and on the brush like this, just to get those neutralized. And while that's doing that, I then break out my Yeouth Pure Hyaluronic Acid, Yeouth Hyaluronic Acid moisturizer, as well as my own personal moisturizer that I get, you know, from your Walmart or whatever I normally use. And I bring that out, and that is what I moisturize my skin with, because that is definitely key after doing a peel. So I'm sure that I'm not doing it correctly because you're supposed to wipe up, but I'm a mom. I'm lucky that I got this time to get this done. Okay. So I tend to do that. And then I have a nice moisturizer that I like to use. And I will put that on top. And that's it. But after this, I usually really focus on making sure that I stay hydrated, one, and making sure that I'm moisturizing my skin. With using the Yeouth Glycolic Acid Peel Gel, I have actually not noticed what I know some patients, or some people I should say, experience with, that's the hyaluronic acid, not the gel, what some people experience, which is a lot of peeling. I haven't noticed a lot of peeling, which I'm very actually happy about. I don't know if that's because I'm really big on the moisturization afterwards, and so it doesn't slough off in sheets, or if it's due to the fact that it's kind of a lower percentage peel, but I don't notice a lot of peeling of my skin, but I do notice my skin is evening out. And so I'm just going to be continuing to use this. So how often do I do it? In a good month, I'll do it twice because I like to do it every other week. However, depending on what Jeremy allows me to do, I may get one in. But I definitely don't try to do it on the week that I'm doing a facial, just because that abrasiveness and the peel just don't mix well. Not a good idea. So I hope that helps. I definitely think it's something you should try. I mean, if you're interested, I will put all the information in the information box below. And you can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and even now Twitter. I'm actually doing Twitter as well. So I'm in all the social media things except for TikTok. So check me out there, and I hope that this was helpful, and see you in the next video. Smooches.